Pleasant good morning, one and all. Good morning. Welcome to today's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption, Incompetence. Today is Wednesday, the 21st day of May 2021. Welcome. Share the live. Let them know that we're on. You know, this morning we had some challenges. Many of you would have noticed that the program started a little later than usual because normally we start 11 o'clock under that. But the gremlins were at work. I have been able to overcome. This time at my end, all morning I was on, looking at the comments and looking at the students joining. And then just about 5 minutes before showtime, I was unable to get into the studio. I had to log out, log back in. The mic wasn't making contact and all of them. So yes, so it's good to be here this morning. And to another day, another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It's a privilege to be in the land of the living. My colleague is in the studio. I know when we checked out the system last night, it worked well. But when he got in this morning into the studio, I was trying to get in and I could not have made contact. So I'm going to bring him in a short while and we're going to know if he is able to communicate with us. Because remember, on Monday, just to the end of the show, we had some issues there. We had it resolved last night. So let's hope that it remains resolved. So yes, share the live and let people know that we are on. I want you to share the live and let people know that we're on. By now, you have come to realize, those of you who are the older students, older I mean by age, older in terms of your attendance, you will know that once there's a glitch and you have to come out the studio or I have to come out the studio and get back in, we lose a lot of comments. All the people who came in earlier, we would have lost them. So we're going to forego the roll call this morning because of that. 100 drop off, right? I had to come out and come back in several times. The program was scheduled at 7. Let me give you an idea. It was scheduled at 7, and we had what I believe was a record number of students that came in exactly at 7, 27 or something like that. Exactly, and between 7 and 7:05, we had over 100 in the schoolyard. And the first man came on at 7 o'clock, sharp, 7 o'clock. I think it was from the UK, Wayne, from the UK came on at 7 sharp. And if I look at it here now, I don't know if you're seeing the same thing. And the comments, the first person who appears there appears at 8:50. So the first 8:50. So almost 2 hours of comments went. So we're not going to bother with the roll call this morning. We're going to go into the announcements. And after the announcements, we're going to go straight into the program. We have a lot to tell you about this morning. A lot. Some of these comments that have been made in respect to Adriana Young's death. Another thing, I saw a comment this morning attributed to the Attorney General that the body now, as this dead child's body now, the county Attorney General, has no forensic value. That is the use advice. So we're going to deal with that. We are going to deal with that this morning. I don't know what he's talking about. Perhaps the person who advised him, if anybody advised him at all, must be one of those stupid people that Jack Diot spoke about recently. Got to be one of those people because I don't understand that, but I don't want to jump the gun. Let me do the announcements and then we're going to come into it. As we would normally say, today, again, let me remind you all, I'll continue to remind you that this year, 2025 in Guyana, is an election year. Let me remind you too that on the 25th of this month, Venezuela plans to hold an election to elect a governor for Essequibo, our Essequibo. Venezuela plans to hold an election to elect a governor. And the response by the government, I don't know if they have a proper response. They have some concert at Anna Regina on the 25th or some the same day. So a concert. That is what they have. They have a concert in Essequibo, Anna Regina. That is the response. Folks, we are in a very sad place. We are in a sad state and a sad place, right? Because of incompetence and corruption. That is what we talk about on this program. Incompetence and corruption, right? So we're going to go into these things here this morning. Well, let me, again, it's important to remember election year. A lot of propaganda. You see everything sharing out. Wild West, you know. Wild West, they're sharing, they're going to share land, they're going to share money, they're going to share guns, they're going to share all this other thing. Be aware. Be aware of all the false promises that are going to be made. Part of the whole corruption process. We're going to talk about it. They can say we're being political, up to them. But we're going to expose corruption. We're going to expose incompetence because they're all over the place. You look, you're going to see it. And we are going to highlight it. Now, we told you some time ago about the death of Deputy Superintendent Brown. I understand that he'll be buried today. I don't have all the details here. Dexter Brown is to be buried today. He died in a car accident about 2 or 3 weeks ago. But today, I understand, is the funeral. We also told you about the death of a student, Orin Bade, who is supposed to be on the line now. His mother, rather. Let me clarify that very early. The mother of Orin passed away recently. And he wants to, if you look at the comment, you will see Orin thanking all of us who expressed condolences. And all the students, whether they did express it or not, we want to express condolences to you, Orin, on the passing of your mother. We understand she was 93. No matter how old they are, we miss them. And we are not the ones, you know, they get report that a particular one, the kicky mother and all them type, but we're not that type. We cherish our mothers. We cherish our mothers. And then we have a death to announce. That is the death of retired woman Sergeant Mona Prowell. Our number was 14579, I think was her number. I remember her at Force Control. I remember her working at Force Control. I got information that she died on Sunday at the West Demerara Regional Hospital. Sunday, May 18th, she died. So condolences to those the relatives, friends of those deceased persons that we have announced. And then I've got to remind you, well, accidents, you know. I understand that there were 4 fatalities from 3 accidents yesterday. 2 on the Linden-Suzaik Highway early yesterday morning involving a minibus and a car. 2 persons, the 2 passengers in the car, we understand, perished. Others were injured and taken to the hospital. And then there was also a fatal accident yesterday on a Charity and the Sikibo with a motorcycle, I think it's a truck. And there's another one someplace yesterday. 4 deaths in one day. And they tell you all kind of thing. 4 deaths in one day. And they're clueless. And you know why they don't want to address it? Because they have to go to the root. And we are saying that the root of all this is corruption. The root of all that is going on, corruption. How people getting their license and how people intervening to make sure that if you're stopped, police complaining that when you stop certain people, they make a phone call and you're instructed to release them. Or you might find yourself transferred, or you might find yourself being investigated for some unknown or trumped up infraction. That is the reality. That's what the police complain. Not me. So that is why this will continue, because there is no accountability. People are not made to account for the errant use of the road. So that is one of the things. And then let's remind you too, well, even though in terms of death, it has been reported that I think over the last weekend, someone died in a jet ski accident at Splashman on the Linden-Suzaik Highway. Somebody went out there and entered himself. Some accident with jet ski, person died. And then don't forget Sergeant Vaughn. Today is 432 days, I think it is, since Vaughn died. 430, let me check the note. Yeah, I think 432 days. You can check because he was killed on March the 12th, 2025. And apart from the initial report from the police, which said that he was shot accidentally, and then the postmortem which revealed that he was shot 3 times. You may not know from the thing. A police sergeant get killed, you know. They're the ones who talk about transparency. Police sergeant killed on duty. That is what they told us. On the 12th of March, 2024. Today is the 21st day of May, 2025. And you hear nothing further. Right? Imagine that. Imagine that. And then let me remind you too, before I begin, Mr. Conway, those announcement, Mr. Conway. Today is the 2nd anniversary. Today May the 21st, 2025, is the second anniversary of the Madia fire. You know that devastating fire that took the life of, I think, 20 children? Today is the second anniversary of that matter. We know some of the family members have sued the government for hundreds of millions of dollars. Because you know they have decided they're going to give the relatives of the deceased children $5 million. Bully them to take $5 million. Others were given 3 and all of that. That is the value of a life, $5 million. $5 million. So the people sued, rightly so. Let's hear what will happen with that matter. Let me hear what will happen. Because remember in the Quindon Bacchus murder, when the judge awarded some 20 million or something to the family, and Landalal threatened to appeal the matter. He not threatened, he said he's going to appeal. And then I think it's the vice president or the president came out and said, well, look, we're not going to appeal. We're going to give the people them the money. That is the value of a life. $5 million for one of those children that died. And some will get serious injured, $3 million. So today is the second anniversary of that matter. And I want to, well, let me go. I'm going to come back to it shortly. I just want to tell you what the board is and bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to come back to that. Then I want to well, we don't know. I'm not aware of any body today. I'm not sure if we have any today, but then we did tell you that yesterday was the board anniversary of retired Deputy Commissioner Edward Wills. So we wished him pre-birthday greetings. Now we wish him belated birthday greetings. And then we also told you we had woman assistant superintendent Jacqueline Blair McGregor. She was yesterday too. And we missed Jerry Tyndall. Jerry, can't remember Jerry number now. Jerry was a 9600 police. Jerry had a birthday recently too. And in terms of upcoming birthdays, one of the students, Stan Benjamin, he's celebrating tomorrow. So to all of those who celebrating today, who celebrated recently, and who celebrating in the near future, all the best to you. All the best. Wish you all health, strength, and happiness. Let me bring Mr. Conway. We're going to know now if he can come in. CC, welcome.
Good morning.
Oh, yes, it's good to hear your voice, man. Good to hear your voice.
Well, Pegasus at work, they could turn on your phone and turn off and do all kind of nonsense. But happy to be in the land of the living and to do God's work. They can't stop us. They could delay it. They could interrupt it, but they can't stop it. The work has got to go on. Yes, I went this morning at the viewing Brown at Sandy Funeral Parlor, so I went there and I had to rush back here for the program. For the matter, one of the students, they saw me, say, what are you doing here? You supposed to be in the studio. I said, well, I got to pay my respect to Brown because I know him well. And also I know Powell well. She work at Force Control. And I remember she and Ann Thompson, and then they were a good combination. So I'm here, and we all are ready to go, Paul.
Yeah, CC got some buffering there, so we got a thing with that. Yeah, yeah, that was it. The Tyndall number was 9671. I remember 96. I know 96. 9670 was Thompson, 9671 Tyndall. Yeah, somebody commented on the thing. They don't know how we just remember all these numbers and so on. I read some of the comments that were made, and somebody telling me that that Stian is a female. I'm not sure if it is. I apologize if I refer to the person as a male when in fact the person is a female. So yes, we have to talk about these things, And let's get back to this Madia fire for briefly. We said today is the anniversary, right? There was the anniversary. Today's second anniversary, 21st of May 2023 is when those children, it was a Sunday, I remember that, Sunday night. Those children were born, 20 children born to death in that fire. They say that one of the children who was a resident of that dam is charged with the murder of all those people. We are not hearing where they're going either. We don't know where that is going. But let me say this, if you recall when that fire took place, the next morning, there was no protection at the crime scene. They say it's a crime. So even if you had said initially you didn't know it was a crime, there was no protection. So the next morning, morning of the 22nd, Mark Phillips, prime minister, was in the debris of the fire. Then later on, Priya Manikchand, Minister of Education, all with other people in the debris, in the scene of the fire. Right? No attempt at any stage to protect that scene. Right? We learned recently from the U.S. ambassador that the FBI assisted in that investigation. I did not know that before. I did not know that they sought the assistance of the FBI in that investigation. They did. But I want FBI investigation into Adriana's death, Adriana Young's death. They wonder why. Wonder why. Remember they told us too in terms of this investigation, I think it's people short, or they got assistance from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Yeah, but they don't want assistance from Adriana Young's, for the Adriana Young's matter. They want FBI. They bring a retired man from Canada. How are we going to talk about that a little more? There was no protection of the crime scene, right? You know who was the commander at the time? Y'all remember who was the commander of Region 8, the region in which Madia falls? At the time when this fire was there in 2023, and there was poor police action, no protection of the crime scene. You want to make a guess who the commander was? Right? Mandal. He was a senior superintendent then, Mandal. He was the commander at Madia when the fire took place. No attempt to protect that scene. None at all. He was a senior superintendent. He got promoted to assistant commissioner. He had just been promoted. I think he was promoted to senior superintendent in 2022. Yet, with this fire, this year when I bring on promotion here, the man got promoted to assistant commissioner. Right? He got promoted to assistant commissioner. And I make a note to say, when you're incompetent, you are rewarded in the police force. You are being rewarded for your incompetence, rewarded perhaps because of your ethnicity. That is what you have. So the same man now, Tushan, in charge of Region 3, when you had the story there on the 23rd of last month, and 3rd of April, with this girl being missing and then the body found in it. No attempt at any stage to protect. The man didn't know that. The man didn't know about protecting a crime scene and all them type of thing. Police commander, assistant commissioner. He was the commander at Madia when that fire took place. No attempt. The scene was never protected. Never. So much so that some days after, people were removing debris from the fire scene. We suspected that remains of those children and filling potholes on the road with it. That is what they were doing. Removing debris from the fire scene, filling potholes. And people, there was an outcry because people said, how can they do that? The debris contained remains of those innocent children. That is what they do. Then they had a commission of inquiry. And at the commission of inquiry, they get the lawyer to try to put blame on the fire chief. They tried to put blame to say the fire chief was responsible because there was a report about this place, and the fire chief never ensured that Ben, shoot and scoot Ben, had to go to parliament and say there's not a work of the fire service. Perhaps one of the good things he said in all his years as a minister of Home Affairs. That is what they did. So when you come to Tushan Doubleday Hotel, anyone could have been surprised that that scene wasn't protected too. Mandela know nothing but policing. I said so. People just vexing and say, Mandela is a nice guy. But Mandela no policing. And the evidence is there. Right? The evidence. Yeah, man. The man got promoted to senior superintendent, I think, in 2022. With that controversial promotion. Right? Controversial promotion in 2022. Then the man turned assistant, he was a superintendent, then he got promoted to senior super in 2022. 2025, he's an assistant commissioner and shitting big. And as I said repeatedly, he is not alone. He is not alone in terms of incompetence, in terms of lack of command knowledge. He's not alone, right? So the anniversary is today. And you know, again, I hear somebody at their planned some in some service or something like that. If you talk about it on this program and thing, they want it slide away. They don't want the people to be reminded of that. They had recently the National to Show conference or something like that. I ain't even sure if they mentioned that. I'm not even sure if they took a moment to observe the anniversary of the passing of those 20 children. They want it to go away. That is what happening. They want the same thing with Adriana Young's murder. And I'm saying it's murder. They want it to go away. They want it to go away. Right? Let me bring in CC for him to comment on that. And then we're going to move on. CC, second anniversary of Adriana, what am I saying? Second anniversary of the Madia fire body. What are your views?
Well, I saw it. I got it live, you know. Somebody from Madia during the time there, and I know I was commando for all those regions, and I got my contacts there, and and it was very horrifying to see it and to listen to the screams there, you know. And as you mentioned, the crime scene wasn't protected, and Mandel there, same thing in West Demerara there, you know. I always describe him as a fiery officer or a very deadly officer. Perhaps the deadliest. He's the deadliest commander. Remember, you said McDonald is the deadliest commissioner. Where 26 person died in the line of duty during his story, you know. But you know, we need to continue to press in, and we need to make sure that you know we highlight these things here. I think there's some ceremony, maybe low-key ceremony at Madia today for the mark the anniversary. But we'll continue to highlight things, and then it's piss poor policing. Somebody say you shit in buckets, he shit in black tanks, buddy.
Yeah. And yes, Mark, 2 years, just like that, 2 years fly past since those children were killed. 2 years since those children were killed at Madia in that horrific fire. I saw this Sunday night. It was there live, and I looked at it. Sad. And then, of course, at the time, we did not know. We knew people died, but we did not know how many. And then by the next morning, it was revealed. And to see Prime Minister Mark Phillips, a man who was the chief of staff of the Ghana Defense Force, who ought to get his sense, stand up in the debris, which was a fire scene, which was a crime scene. And I say I blame the police commander. Because if the police commander had done what was expected, establish a perimeter, and get people to man the perimeter, and say, well, look, even if the prime minister comes, sorry, you cannot go there, that's a crime scene. Very politely, you tell him and you prevent people from going. I'm sure they would have understood. But because the commander did not do what he had to do, everybody now walking all over the place. Same thing at Tushan Doubleday Hotel. Everybody all over the place. Everybody all over. That is what you have. At a command level, I have to emphasize, command level, you know. This is not no corporal or no constable along the line. This is a police divisional commander who is unable to give instructions and to make sure that proper actions are taken. That is what you have in the police force. Now let me move on. Last night, I am there, you know, I read him in news and things, surfing social media, and I was alarmed when I heard that there had big set of shootout in Sapphire. Because initially people were suggesting that they were shooting at the police. And I said, what? People shooting at police? I was very, very alarmed at it. And I stayed up a long time browsing to find out what really was transpiring. I was worried. Then this morning it is revealed, it wasn't shooting at the police. It was, according to the release that they have, 2 men were there. It was a shootout between 2 sets of people, 2 shootout. Whatever caused it, we don't know. Shootout. One said fire, next thing fire. Police said they recovered 15 suspected 9mm spent shells. That is what the police said they recovered from the area. Right? And they're investigating because 2 men are injured, are in hospital. Because initially it was said that these 2 men who were injured might have been attacked. And they run behind some truck and so on. But the police are saying that based on the CCTV footage that they have been able to review so far, it was a shootout between these 2 men, these 2 groups. Shootout. Let me say this. Sometimes people are very unfair to the police. I try to be fair, you know, to police. I was a police for 37 years. People are very unfair because some of the comments I saw on social media up to this morning. I said they're being unfair. Because I would have said, big shooting out and the police hiding in the police station. What you want to do? You just shoot shots firing outside. You want to run out while? From a tactical and a position, you're hearing shots, you've got to be able to assess properly what is going on. You can't run out while. In a case like that, Sapphire Police Station, I don't know how equipped they are, how many forces were on duty, but I would expect they would have had patrols around the city, and they would have then summoned the patrols to respond, because the patrols ought to have been armed in a particular way, can respond to something like that. But to try to tell the police hiding in the police station when shots firing outside, what are they supposed to do? You think them is bulletproof? So they can just run out there just a while? I have always, when I did operations and TSU and so on, you hear shots, you have got to assess what is going on. You can't run while. You can't run while into the thing. You don't know where the shots are coming from. You don't know who is shooting and all that. All because you hear shots, you're going to run outside like that. So for those people who are blaming the police, say that I know the police hid in the station and so on, but I know that the police ought not to be running out just like that. If you're at a station and you hear shots firing outside, you cannot. You ought not to just run out just like that. You have to make an assessment of what is going on. At the station, you will report it to the breakdown operations room or go up on the radio set. And that is why I have been saying this thing where they're using cell phone is not the best way to communicate. You have a radio set, you have a radio system and network. So when you go on the radio network and you say what is happening, all persons on that network will get the communication and be able to respond. But when you go up on the cell phone and you're talking to the cell phone, who you're talking to? The only body you're hearing is the person at the next end. And that is why I have been lamenting over the years, right? This cell phone thing is not the best thing. You have radios. They should get radios in a situation like what happened. I don't know what the response was. So I'm not blaming them to say, well, they did not get onto the radio, because I would expect they would do that. But I'm telling you now, what are the advantages of using the network? Something that happens, you jump on the network and you alert the people. When you are alerting, whether it's your operations room, your main command center, everyone else on that network is going to be able to hear what is going on. And if you were like Larry Lewis, when he was commissioner, he had the radio set there. So he would have heard too what was going on and be able to jump in and to find out what is going on. So let me understand, right? You got to get radio set. Forget about this cell phone thing what proliferating all over the place, radio set. So when an incident occurs and you report it, not only the operations room to whom it is reported will be aware, but all of the patrols and so on. And even before you tell them, because from the time you said shots firing in this particular area and so on, people would have been able to respond. I don't know what the response was. I'm not referring here specifically to what happened last night. I'm just saying, because this thing happened, I think, around 9:45 last night. I'm just saying, generally, what should happen? Generally, that should happen. So, yeah, big shootout. Lawless place, Lawless place. Big shootout last night, 2 men injured. And I hope they investigate to find out who the culprits are. Next worrying thing out of that is a shootout. So, unarmed, most likely, they are illegal firearms. Illegal firearms, whatever caused it, I hope they get to the bottom of that and to find out. Because if it's a shootout, I suspect the people who are injured and are in hospital will have an idea as to who, may have an idea as to who the people are that shot at them. They too may have an idea as to the motive of the shooting. And if the police know the people who are injured and know the background and the type of activities they are involved in, then they are to have an inkling as to what it was all about. Let me bring in CC again. CC, big shootout in Sapphire last night. People said they hear it all over the place, man. I was not gunshot like Baghdad, people say on the social media. Your take?
Yeah, I don't know. I understand that it happened in a field, and the police station is several fields away from a field, So I don't know what they say they're hiding in the station. It might not be a fair comment, but as you rightly mentioned, that you just don't rush into a situation. You got to look at safety, and safety is first. if you rush into, you might rush into bullets. Safety is important when you're going in an operation, and more so when there is gunfire. You got to be very, very careful how you operate.
Yeah. And as I said, you know, I was at TSU for a number of years, and then I was at operations. I had the operation department before. So those are things that you got to tell the people, teach them. So again, to those who are making comment that the police run and hide and all that, the police ain't bulletproof. They ain't bulletproof. And if guns are firing, they must have been caught by surprise too. You bullet flying outside. They have got to make a proper assessment. Can't run out wild. Cannot run out wild. You run out wild, you might run to your death. Right? So we understand that. Now let me move on. I noted this since last night, this morning, in the news. Seven judges are to be sworn in on the Court of Appeal. The swearing is supposed to take place today. I don't know if it has taken place already. 7 judges to be sworn now to be in the appeal court. You know, the appeal court had 3 judges. I think the government said they're going to increase it to 12. I think that's what they said, 12. And only yesterday's editorial in Sabbath News was questioning, because long ago they said they passed some bill to increase the number of judges and nothing had been done. So tonight, I don't know if that editorial prompted them to make the thing, because they said, the Judicial Service Commission has recommended to the president that these 7 persons be appointed in the as appeal court judge. And 7 persons are, have it here, Justice Joanne Barlow, right? They have Justice Navendra Singh, Justice Nareshwar Arnanan, Justice Priya Shunaran Biari, Mysteries, and hear this one, Mysteries Joylyn Kite Thomas. I think it's Kim Kite, she's known as, but I think it's the same person. Mysteries, not a justice, a Mysteries Joylyn Kite Thomas, Justice Damon Young, and the last person I have here is Mr. Rafiq Khan, who is a SC. And I note that 2 of the 7 are not appointed judges. I guess the Constitution and the thing allows for people who are not judges to be appointed to the appeal court. But I noted that 2 of them who are appointed, and those 2 being Mrs. Joylyn Kite Thomas and Mr. Rafiq Khan SC, they are not judges, but they are now going to be appointed judges on the appeal court, right? And then I also noted, because I said the Judicial Service Commission made these recommendations. The Judicial Service Commission made these recommendations. And the Judicial Service Commission is comprised of 5 persons. 5 persons, right? All right. Then I also noted, and included in the 5 persons on the Judicial Service Commission, ex officio, are the Chancellor and the Chief Justice. Mr. Carl Singh, former acting Chancellor, is the chair, I think, of that body. Maniram Prasad, who is the chairman of the Public Service Commission, he's ex officio on that. And then you have Justice B.S. Rai as the other person. So it's Carl Singh, chair, B.S. Rai, and then Maniram Prasad, ex officio, also ex officio of the Chancellor and the Chief Justice. They are the 5. So they are telling us that those 5 persons recommended these people to become judges. And I couldn't help noting that the acting Chancellor and the acting Chief Justice are still acting. So here it is, they're going to appoint the judges, 7 of them, to the appeal court, but the persons who were part of the process to appoint them are still acting. That is the Chancellor, Honorable Justice Cummins, Janet Cummins, and Honorable Chief Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire. They're still acting. You think Guyana is a real place? Do you think Guyana is a real place? They're not confirming the Chancellor and the Chief Justice, right? They're not confirming them, even though the highest body in the judicial system, that is the CCJ, the president at the time of the CCJ, commented on it. The leader of the opposition, who has to agree on this appointment, has made it public that he is in agreement of those 2 women being appointed substantive to the position. president gonna make the appointment. No way, the appointment gonna make. They're gonna write them out till they reach retirement age. And once they reach retirement age, you're gonna see in labor time, they're gonna appoint whoever they want to succeed them in labor time. Remember the GDF? Remember the GDF? They had the acting chief, they had this guy acting as chief of staff a long time. Never appointed him until he was about 2 or 3 days before he retired. And as soon as they bring back Omar Khan from off the road, he was immediately appointed, right? The brigadier, immediately appointed. And you think it real? You think it real? We're going to highlight these things, man. We're going to highlight and let them say whatever they want to say. It is these are facts. When we talk about the Indianization of the police command and all facts, the records are there, the figures are there. So they can make complaint to the ERC, the AFC, the ICC, the JC, complain to wherever you want to complain. The facts are there, and facts are stubborn things. No matter what you do. Yeah, if the Best was acting chief of staff. Not Gary Best, is the next Best. Gary is BEST, I think, and this is BSS Best. Acting there. They took over in 2020 and the man act until he ready to retire. They bring back Omar Khan from off the road because Omar Khan had resigned from the army. They brought him back and immediately promoted him to chief, to brigadier and put him there. And now I think they promoted Best right to the end afterwards for safe face. That is what is happening in that place. Then we bring in CC and then we're going to move to the next CC. CC, the judges, man, you get in old set of appeal court judges now. What are your views, my brother?
Happy that they get appeal court judges. But as you mentioned, what about the Chancellor and the Chief Justice who were acting? And why can the President and the leader of the opposition come together? Well, the leader of the opposition said he already he is in favor of those two honorable women to be confirmed. But you see, there's a conspiracy theory between them, Justice George, the Chancellor and the Chief Justice and Joanne Barlow, they were at the DPP office. And what they did, they tactically moved them out from the DPP office and made them judges so that Aliak could come up as the Director of Public Prosecution. But they didn't realize that those honorable women would have gone on to hold on to the senior position in the judiciary, the Chancellor and the Chief Justice. They didn't realize what happened. They just moved them out, make them judges so that they can make space for Aliak to become the Director of Public Prosecution, somebody who is politically inclined, who they can control. So it turned back and it haunted them. And they can't take it anymore. And I understand they didn't want to give Justice Barlow the appeal court, the appeal court judge. They didn't want to give her, but maybe because of pressure, the recommendation was made. So the thing is that it's high time they be man enough and ensure that the Chief Justice and the Chancellor that they are conform in that position. I'm making the point, they're moving them out there from the DPP office, made them judges in order for Aliak to come forward and to rise forward to become the Director of Public Prosecution so that they can control her, because you know what the former Attorney General wrote about her too, So that's the position, Paul.
Oh, let me I agree with you, I agree with you. One student is trying to correct me by saying that Khan did not resign, that he retired. No, Khan resigned. Khan resigned under the coalition government. He resigned from his position in the army and went out into civilian life. And then when this government came back into power in August of 2020, they brought him back. He resigned from the army. So there's really, check your records. He resigned from the army and then he was brought back by the current administration. And Mr. Conway is making a reference there to the comment made in the, I had it, I can look for it, I'm going to read it to y'all, right? And I have it here. When you refer to the former Attorney General, he's referring to Bernard DeSantis. And then Eva Bernard DeSantis said in this book, and this is the book I encourage you to read it a lot, to buy it. The book is entitled Hijacking of the NBS. Author is V.S. Singh. And he said, one of the matters which has been suspected by members of the criminal bar for some time is that the acting director of public prosecutions, whose husband is a Muslim cleric, cannot divorce our religion from our professional duties. In the instant case, Mrs. Aliak, prior to charges being instituted against my client, held a meeting at the headquarters of the CIOG, which was attended inter alia by her husband, a Muslim member of a Muslim member of the staff of the NBS, at which meeting the affairs of the NBS were discussed as they pertained to the loss of money, which later formed the basis of the charge. It is an open secret that Mrs. Aliak's husband has played a major role in this matter. That is Bernard DeSantis being quoted in the book. That is because it's being quoted in the book, right? Now, well, the person saying that Khan's resignation was turned down by the then president. I don't know. You might be correct. I don't know. I'm not a fountain of all knowledge, but what I got was that he had resigned and he was out of the work then. Let me put it this way. Let me be countryman style, Guyanese style. He'd be out of the work. Whether he was retired, whether he resigned, he was no longer a serving member of the Guyana Defense Force. That is what I was made to understand. He was no longer a serving member of the Guyana Police Force. Right? Now, see this one, I'm sure you would have seen this. This one I interest you. You know, they got the National to Show Conference going on. I don't know if it's done yet. Started Monday. I think it might be finished by now. I don't know the duration. But the president, during his talk there, announced that I think what he said 259 or some number, I can't remember the exact number, of firearm licenses will be distributed to those indigenous people. That is political now. Well, it's political a long time. The president is making an announcement at a conference that firearm licenses are going to be issued to those people. The Constitution, the laws of 1605, the president doesn't have any say in who gets licensed and who ain't get licensed. They amended the whole thing sometime when you go, they bring in a firearm licensing board, right? But the president making comment, the president announcing, and I know, let me tell you, let me understand the system, because people have asked this question a long time. I used to be a commander, and the thing that's come to the commander, when you do the investigation, they make recommendation, right? And we always, the other rule, the other policy, that you will give favorable consideration to those, we used to call them Amerindian, but the indigenous people who live in the interior and the remote area. And the reason why we were told you should give favorable consideration with them is because they have to use firearm to hunt for food, for feed their family and so on. That's how most of them survive, by hunting. And therefore, when sometimes you see the police make big splat, or some Amerindian man in some interior area found in possession of an unlawful firearm, and they're going to charge, hey, rubbish. Those people in the main don't use them for crime. They use it to hunt. So we as police commanders were advised many, many years ago that when you're looking at it, give favorable consideration to them. We also gave favorable consideration to farmers, right? Farmers there, they're going to come and say, wild animals destroying the crops and so on, things like akari and them to eat out the cassava, eating out the pumpkin and them type of things. So once you visit, you should go through a process. Because once the application is made, you go through a process to satisfy yourself that, yes, this is indeed so. You visit the farm, you see things damaged and so on, and then you might favorable. Well, let the commander visit it, whoever doing the investigation, and then you might consider them. I used to get fun with some of them because they come and say they get how many acres of farm and things. Say, all right, the police, where the farm located? we can come and visit the farm. Sometimes you just bluff, they ain't got no farm. And the next category to be considered used to be businessmen. And you know, everybody used to be a businessman. Tell them it's businessmen, they're making how much money a week, how much $1 million, blah, blah, blah. They make out a nice, glorious application. They are the most the successful business people based on the representation that they make to you in order to be favorably considered. I used to tell them, say, all right, if you're making all this money and your business is so doing so well, please bring your last income tax return. And that's where the thing used to done. That is where, not now people taking money from people and doing all them type of thing. I have no doubt allegations were made that people should take, but now the things are big business. That is the allegation, big business. So the businessman, everybody used to come and say them is a businessman. Everybody. And then they're going to tell you they get this business, they're making how much $1 million a week, and then they feel unsafe, and all them type of thing. They would come, say, bring your tax return, bring evidence to show that you are a bona fide, legitimate businessman, and that this business is indeed as successful as you are claiming. And many times, there's where the thing is finished. Because they're bluffing. But now, anybody, once Jackie Opel come and Jackie Opel talk to them, you get it? But I'm saying again, it is inappropriate, my view, for the president to be making them to politicize the issuing of firearm license. Politicizing the issuing of firearm license to our indigenous brothers. That is what is happening. Because, you know, further, let me tell you further, if I remember the law well, that those people don't have to pay for the renewal of the license, you know, shotgun, they get shotgun to go hunting. They don't have to pay, at least during my time, they never had to pay for the renewal because you recognize what they were using it for. It's to provide fresh meat to the family and the village and all that other thing. So that is what you said me bringing CC. CC like to talk about this firearm thing, man. CC, let me hear you on this firearm issue. The president said, I said 529. I don't know if it's 259 or 529. I can't remember. Well, your take, my brother.
It's 250.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I said 250. And you mentioned all in the program, you know, that this is an election year and the Amerindians are the swing votes. Jump high, jump low, the Amerindians are the swing votes, so you want to deal with them, you know, like he's sent from God. And the president cannot approve firearm license. Maybe he could influence the squad here to give them a license. And even the firearm board, and I remember one time here in Chang said we should challenge it because he said that is illegal. That is a divisional commander who's supposed to really approve firearm. But the president ain't get no authority. But he want to live good with them, and he want to, you know, influence votes. It's about votes. And I can remember, you know, when I just took over command of F Division, ENF Division, Larry Lewis was the commissioner. And I was happy to report that they seized a firearm from an Amerindian. And the report, Larry Lewis said, what you want the man to do? Did he threaten anybody? They're using it for the farming, then use it to protect the farm and for hunting. Look, don't bother the people with Amerindians that you find with firearm. And I recall I had to go into gun strip. There's a deep south, the farthest south, and renew some firearm, not only issue some firearm license for some Amerindians because they used to make a yearly trip to Suriname. Some function they get it. They walk to Suriname and then they come back and they brought in some guns. And I think through Joe Singh, who knew them well, told Larry Lewis say that these people get guns on there. So and Larry Lewis say go in there, talk to them, and issue the firearm license. So they issue the firearm license to them, you know. So the thing is that the president shouldn't get involved with them, but it's a political season. And you want to look good, and you want to be the savior. So he said 250, you know, that they get a license before the end of the conference. And I think is a 5 days conference. And we don't know what's going on with the fireman. $1.5 million, Shifts Chanjapal Drive, Young Street, Oxen Rob Street, a building northwest of the Breakdown Police Station, Carmichael Street, and a doctor, I'm repeating, a medical doctor, a medical doctor there also, who you can talk to, 1.5 and over, and you get it. So the thing is that the president, ridiculous, shouldn't be involved in that. Perhaps if he had diplomacy, quietly talk to the commissioner, look, squatter, look, extended squatter, extend you. And I want you to give the Amerindian people the things so that they could deal with the farm and thing. But the president also mentioned in defense of the country too, he mentioned in defense of the country also too, so a whole set of irregularities played out at that session there.
Well, if it's in defense of the country, I hope it's that shotgun you give them. Because I don't know to defend the country with shotgun. Even though they might be trained to shoot and scoot, I can't see how they're defending with shotgun. But let me tell you this. Let me talk about the corruption in the process. I'm going to recount this. I'm not going to call the person's name, but the person gave me permission to talk about it. The squad and them are likely to know who we're talking about. But the man called me and he gave me permission to talk about this story relating to firearm. This is a man who lives overseas most of the time. He was a police. He left the work. He lives overseas most of the time. He goes to Guyana occasionally. The commissioner knows him. Ikin knows him. So at some stage, he had an interaction with Ikin. Ikin asked him if he has a firearm. And this interaction took place in Ikin's office. He got know who we're talking about. He said, "No, man, I don't really need firearm because I don't in Guyana." He said, no. He called his people, he called his staff on them. Said, "Look, make out an application for this man to get a firearm license." And before, listen to this carefully, the man had to go down to the finance office, police finance office, to sort out something. This is what is recounted to me in detail. Master, by the time he done sort out, we got to sort out, it didn't take that long. When he went up, his approval for firearm license was already there. He never made, they make the application, he must sign. His approval for a firearm was there. The story ended on there. Master, he was then advised that he got to go to GRA to get some documents, something like that. Right? So Master, remember, I am too interested in getting this thing. He couldn't get the document. So he left and he returned to the United States. Listen to this, folks. I ain't making this up. He returned to the United States. A partner of his, apparently the man has received mails and so on his behalf. Partner told him that he get a mail from the police headquarters. This is after this person got the approval directly from the commissioner's office to acquire a firearm. Sometime down the road, another correspondence reached. So he said, "Don't bother, when I come, you can look at it." When the man returned to Guyana sometime after to attend a funeral, the friend reminded, "I got this letter for you." The man opened the letter. When the man opened the letter, listen to me, drum roll, drum roll. It's a revocation of the same firearm license that was issued and no firearm was ever bought or anything like that. He got a letter from the squatter revoking this firearm license. He said, they had to laugh. He said he got the letter, he never acquired a firearm, but then months down the road, this letter is being revoked. You don't know reason. So I say, "Yeah, no reason," right? He said, "Yeah, no reason was mentioned." I said, "Well, I believe it's because you did not speak with Jackie Opel." I said, "You ought to have been able to show your gratitude for going through all this process and so on." I say all of this to say that this nonsense with the talking about licensing board and all that, it ain't working. It is not working, right? It ain't working. That is what was recounted to me. And as I've said, I was given permission by the person who recounted it to relate it. Now I'll call his name. And I'm sure by the time this program done, he does listen, he can call me and he can laugh at it and so on. That is what is going on. That is what is going on. Ridiculous. Man never applied. Man say, "You want gone." Because you don't spend much time at 2 weeks, or maybe twice a year you spend at 2 weeks. And that is what is going on. And I'm saying again, that if the president has issued or given instructions for those indigenous brothers to be issued firearms to protect the country, hope it's not shotgun they're giving them. Oh, because of the talk. They talk because they get mouth. How you going to defend your country with shotgun? No matter what you put, slug or whatever caliber or whatever gauge, gun is not caliber, gun is gauge. Whatever gauge you get, shotgun. Shotgun when you expect the people you are defending against are trained military people. Man, yeah, get out of here. Yeah, let me go to the next subject. This one I put it off a long time. I got to talk about it now. I got to talk, but a whole week or so we put it off and I got to talk. This is news out of Barbies. Barbies. It says the Barbies Bar Association, the Barbies Bar, having been inundated with complaints against Magistrate Ravindra Mohabir, has written to the Chancellor of the Judiciary, Madam Janet Cummins Edwards, seeking our intervention. Already I share the life story sweet. Already facing accusation of being politically compromised and unfit to serve impartially in the judiciary, the Barbies Bar has told the Chancellor of Magistrate Mohabir's derogatory statements and comments directed to members who practice in the West Barbies Magisterial District. According to the Barbies Bar, the derogatory statements and comments have been made in the presence of members of the public and to the serious detriment and embarrassment of its colleagues. Nightly News is aware of an incident in which an attorney was forced to flee the courtroom of Magistrate Mohabir, leaving his clients behind after Mohabir instructed the lawyer to sit down, shut up, and that he doesn't want to hear from him for the rest of the day, while he allegedly attempted to reach for his firearm. This is Wild West. Hey, what is being alleged here? They say the magistrate, right, tell the lawyer to sit down and shut up. He doesn't want to hear anything from him for the rest of the day, while he allegedly attempted to reach for his firearm. Fernando Sancho, the older people gonna know what I'm talking about. Mohabir even asked the court oddly whether he was stupid for allowing the attorney to use his phone, or allowing the attorneys to use their phones in court. No phones whatsoever, he said. Sources familiar with the usual outbursts of the magistrate have said that his continued unprofessional and discourteous behavior in open court violates the canons of judicial ethics. That is coming out of Barbies. Well, let me say this. Those of us who work in Barbies, those of us who know the lawyers in the main who practice in Barbies, if you're familiar with the Barbies Bar Association, they are of a certain persuasion and they lean a certain way. And when they are forced or compelled to come out and make a statement like this, it's bad. My view, it is bad. But who is the magistrate? That's his name, Mohabir. Ravindra Mohabir. He is one of the recent magistrates. 2 years ago, I think it was February last year, some magistrates were sworn in, new magistrates. Sworn in, he's one of them. Prior to being sworn in as the new magistrate, he was with SOCU, the Special Organized Crime Unit. I saw him for the first time during our trial for that trumped-up charge of conspiracy to commit fraud. He, along with Deputy Superintendent, the police, Jeffords, were the two prosecutors. Well, I didn't even know he was a prosecutor because the police prosecutor who did all the presentation and leading the witnesses and so on. He sat there quietly until an application was made by them to introduce new evidence into the trial. You know, you get these trials and there's a time when you do disclosure. Disclosure meaning you have to give the defense all the copies of all the statements and all the things you intend to use against them. There's a time for disclosure. This was years after, when the trial had already started. They attempted to make disclosure because they were trying to lead evidence, and when the defense objected, said, well, these things are not in part of the disclosure, then they sought permission from the court to allow them to introduce this news. The magistrate refused. Said, this matter the trial start. You had all these years for disclosure. You never do that. No, I'm not allowing it. This Mohabir got involved in. And you know what they do? SOCU, he got to be involved because he was the liar. They sued the magistrate. They filed a statement of claim, two legal things. I think first they tried to get an injunction to prevent the magistrate from continuing, and then they sued the magistrate to prevent the magistrate from continuing. I think that lawsuit is still pending. Guyana is not a real place. That is why he was one of those. He was part of that. The facts are there. I'm sure CC remember. Because we even whispering among ourselves. He sit down there, and is the police prosecutor, Jeffers, who was for all intent in charge. And he was sitting there, and then we asked him, who is this man? Till when this lawsuit was filed against the magistrate, they said, well, initially, I think when it came up, the magistrate said, well, she has not received anything to prevent her from continuing, and she thinks she set a date to get advice, and she continued. Then a statement of claim, then the sushi. That is what is happening. That is why I remember about this person. I wasn't a magistrate then. So he turned magistrate now. And I understand that even before all of that, he was at legal aid. He was at legal aid. For I say not. Y'all investigate legal aid, and it's 10 years at legal aid. Again, I say, I have to punctuate this presentation by saying Guyana is not a real place. Guyana is not a real place. Let me bring him Mr. Conway, man. See, the magistrate pulling a well, they say he pulled gun. Let me be fair. They say he very disrespectful to the lawyers and the people in court. And when he chase out when he tell the lawyer, sit down, I don't want to hear nothing from you for the rest of the day. He reached, that's what they're saying. He attempted to reach for his firearm. Well, that remind me of the days of Clint Eastwood and Lee Van Cleef and Fernando Sancho and them men in the West. Man, what is your take on this, my brother?
Well, I'm a West Barbician, and I have regular groundings with my team West Barbician. And some of the things I heard about the magistrate is alarming. And I'm not surprised that the Bar Association will come forward. Maybe it's overbearing. And just like you, I was in court there when he appeared a couple of times there. He's very quiet, and he's for the matter of he was very confusing. To me, he gave the impression like he didn't know what he was about. Jeff Forrest, the policeman prosecutor, was the person who was carrying the stream, and he was hardly saying anything until the matter of disclosure come to front. But he wasn't impressive, and I was shocked when I heard that he became a magistrate. And I know about the legal aid thing, and I know about his exit from the legal aid. But just let me backtrack a bit, and talk about the gun license story. And the president role in the issue of firearm is that if you refuse firearm application for firearm license, you can appeal to the president. This is true. That if you refuse, you apply and they refuse you, or if they revoke your license, then is when you can apply to the president, and then you will be activated. But for approval of license, the president can get nothing for the widow. But I remember Madia well, and I say, and I make clear, I was not at all impressed with him. I was more impressed with Jeffers, the police prosecutor, than that guy who I understand is now a magistrate and doing a whole bundle of unprofessional things in the West Coast Barbie area.
Well, he's alleged to be doing that. He's alleged to be doing that. And you're perfectly correct. According to section 1605 of I think 1605 of the Firearm Act, if you refuse, you can appeal to the president. And if your license, if you have a firearm license and it is revoked, then the law says that you can appeal to the president. You can petition the president. You can go to the president by way of a petition to review the revocation of your firearm license. So you see, you're perfectly correct. I know somebody telling me again, they don't know how he does remember these things, how he does remember. But let me tell you something. The good Lord bless me with good memory, right? I still got a good memory, and I just remember things, right? Let me read two comments that were made. At least I can read one, because I ain't sure I could find the one. Somebody wrote, one of the students, and I thank you, because they were complimenting me and CC. They want to say, folks, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And when you listen to Paul Slow and Conway, you will realize that the Guyana government, for reasons best known to themselves, are wasting the minds of two brilliant men when it comes to the knowledge of policing. Hopefully, if there's a new government, they will utilize the expertise of these two men who have extensive international policing experience. The Guyana Police Force desperately needs them in the capacity of consultants. I'm personally in awe of the knowledge and experience of these two men as it relates to policing. Thank you, student. Thank you for that comment. There's a student commented on the thing. And there's the next one. Let me find it, man. Let me find it for y'all. You know, we ain't doing this thing myself. People listen to what's going on. People listen to what's going on. People are compelled to make, let me see, let me find it. Again, here this next one. Here what I'm saying. And I take this as a compliment, you know. I take it as a compliment. One of them that's coming, one of them cockroach, and them amphibian that's come and talk. I think, here what I'm saying. This is a person say, I know if it's a man. Yeah, I think it's some, the name is, I don't know. He sent it to me. And he said, I don't know what you and CC did in your past life or your professional life, but this is the best thing you have ever done for Guyanese. Teaching, educating, informing. Please, he said, please, God will keep you fighting for us. Thanks. There's a student. Again, I'm saying, thank you very much. I take that as a compliment. I did send it to those comments to CC and to show what people are thinking. So, you know, one gonna come and one gonna say us other thing. But we are, and we're saying this again, most of the training that we got is at the expense of Guyanese, the Guyanese taxpayer, right? Going to FBI, going to Staff College, going to all of these places. I went to Staff College, CC went to FBI, and other places around. And so therefore, we feel obliged to come and to educate and to pass on some of the knowledge. And members of the force have been reaching out constantly to thank us for the knowledge that we are passing out. People have said, even the senior ones, they're not going to admit it. They're not going to admit it, even the senior ones. Even those senior ones. Now, when we left off, and again, I said thanks to all of those who come and to express the appreciation and so on. Thank you very much. All we ask for you to do is say, share the damn live and give me a thumbs up. And those of you who are in a position to make a little, give us something, as you say, you know, a something, you know, I put it up here. Just give me a little thing so we can continue to do the research. Hey, a lot of research, you know. You realize there's a lot of research we do, right? A lot of research. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes resource, you know, print up to the other day. I have to go and buy to the people and also I think buy new lights and all that. Yeah. But regardless of that, we are going to come because we have said repeatedly, in the past, we would have been invited to formally go to the police and make presentations, which were well appreciated. They told us that. But now, with the squatter and this government, we are personal non grata. They don't want to hear from me. So therefore, we have chosen this platform to make sure that we pass on the knowledge. And we will continue to do so. Now, let me come to this. We're coming out to Adriana Young. We can't leave that alone, you know. The government wish that this thing can blow away. They want burial, right? Their expectation that once you get burial, the matter gone. But no, I thank God, sir. We were talking on the last day. We were telling you about the what you call it, the tiff or the thing between Dexter Todd, attorney at law, Dr. Dexter Todd, and the police. Dr. Dexter Todd, who's representing the interests of Adriana Young's family, met with the Canadian man, this ex-detective that they brought in. I think the meeting was last Thursday. Coming out of the meeting, Dexter Todd gave a release. In the release, Dexter Todd said that this man who came from Canada, McClushin or whatever his name is, expressed surprise that the father of the deceased girl had not given a statement. They don't know the English language, you know. The men know the English language. So Dexter Stott said the lawyer, the investigator, expressed surprise. They come out with that stupid statement to say that Dexter Stott said that how this man and the family and how the police and reach out to the man. Dexter Stott never said that. Read it to yourself. Dexter Stott said that this man who is there to assist the police expressed surprise that the father had not given a statement. I know they jump out. They say, oh, Dr. Todd, misrepresenting what they said, the police categorically asserting that the attorney allegation that the father of Adriana Young was not contacted. Nobody talked about the father being contacted, but they're swinging the thing. Not being contacted by the police force to give a statement was wholly and deliberately untrue. Police talking about untrue. The corporate communication unit and ICIN talking about untrue. They know what is the truth. Do they know what is the truth? Then they went on to say about the record show, and I made the point, and I'm making it again here for emphasis, because here what I said. The father was first directly approached on April the 24th at Doubleday Hotel by the officer in charge of the Criminal Investigation Department in Regional Police Division 3 and invited to the station the same day to give a statement to the police. These people are writing and don't recognize how they're skinning themselves up, you know. This man who was there since the night before, the night of the 23rd of April, camped out because he was convinced that his daughter was still in this hotel. Camp out. They search, they don't find she. Next morning, they search again. She's not in the pool. Then what happened? She mysteriously appeared about 9-something the next morning. We have video showing the man jump in the pool, pull his daughter out. And the police can tell us that that very day, they invited him to go to the station to give a statement. They invited that man to go to the station. That distraught, that man who was so heartbroken, crying and all sort of thing. They want him to go to the station. At no stage did this have they said since then, at the time. I haven't heard them saying, well, look, we went to this man, or we sent a vehicle to him, and I made the point here. There is no obligation on the man to go to the station to give any statement. Did they ask him to submit a statement? They mentioned 2 liars. Did they ask the liars to get a statement from them? Because as I know it, first of all, they should go there and take the statement from the man wherever he is. If wherever the man lives might not be convenient for them to sit and to take a statement, then they should go with a vehicle and take him to the nearest police station, which might be more convenient. But for tell him how travel, you must go, may know which station if you got to travel by car, bus, or if you got to walk and go. But it is unprofessional. It is inconsiderate of them to have told this man, come to the station to give a statement. It's done, these people done, and they're proud to write there, you know. They're proud to write it. Mark Ramatar and them for the corporate communication unit. They ain't get the top sense to know that they're exposing their ignorance and they're exposing their incompetence and unprofessionalism by the things that they're writing. Go to the man and get a statement, or ask the liar to get a statement from him. If the liar gets a statement from him, or if he writes his own statement, when you see it and there are gaps, you can ask for a further statement, or you can seek to go and get a further statement from the man to clear whatever gaps. But you sit down there, they come to the station or go to the station to give a statement. But this police force gone, you know. And all because they have incompetent people at the senior level, including the commissioner of police. They get the people there as a propaganda unit, the corporate communication unit, which I said before should be disbanded. Disbanded. Because when policemen were dealing with that unit, we never used to get all this nonsense. We never used to get, because the policemen would have made a release which makes sense. They made releases which made sense. And there was a system of checks and balances. System. But now it looked like whoever in charge of the corporate communication unit, I think is the same Mark Ramatar. You know not about police. He was never police. You don't understand releases. He was some third rate or fourth rate or fifth rate journalist, they said. Right? So you believe all them chipness that you write in there makes sense to people, right? Vehicle number, this, and a gazetted officer name and all them things. What is the importance of that? What is the importance of that? But they're writing. And I say I like when they write, because when they write, they expose themselves. I can do the analysis and I can see and I bring it to your attention. Yeah, share the life, man. Continue to share the life. And let me say this. Coming out of this thing, and then now one attempt, they go on to talk about the other attempts they make. And all the time when they're talking, they are telling us that they are inviting the father of this child to go to the police station, to go to some police station. I don't know if it's Lenora Division Headquarters, I know where, but they invited him to go to the police station. Not once have they said, right, that we asked him a convenient time for us to come and pick him up, to take him to the station or to take a statement right at his residence. Not once have they said that. But they can give you a release trying to attack Todd, a reputable man. Jagdo started thing that Jagdo said, what the word he used? Jagdo used some word, say he mediocre. Well, I am saying if Todd is mediocre, almost the entire government mediocre too, including Jagdo, including the finale. Because Todd comes across as far more qualified and intelligent than them. Me, sir, I am saying that. I am saying that. And I all know, I ain't got no brief for Dexter Todd. And as I said, full disclosure, Todd has represented me or is representing me in the matter. And that is not what has prompted me to make this statement. And then I saw, before I begin Mr. Conway, I saw in yesterday's paper something that made me smile. And the headline says, Dr. Todd wants public apology from Guyana Police Force over alleged defamation. This is Kaito News, folks, yesterday. And it says here, right, Dr. Dexter Todd is demanding a public apology from the Guyana Police Force, accusing its corporate communication unit of deliberately misrepresenting a statement and tarnishing its reputation. Through his law firm, Dexter Todd and Associates, a letter was issued on Sunday to Commissioner of Police Clifton Ikin, calling for an immediate retraction and public apology. The firm alleges that the Ghana Police Force has intentionally misrepresented Dr. Todd's statement, and in some cases, peddling pure lies. It further stated, quote, they are unjustifiably attacking his character and integrity. This is malicious, negligent, disrespectful, and will not be tolerated, end of quote. According to the letter, Ikin has been given 24 hours from the receipt of the letter on Sunday evening to retract the Guyana Police Force's press release and issue a public apology, quote, in the same manner in which the press release by the Guyana Police Force Corporate Communication Unit was published, end of quote. Failure to comply, the firm warned, will result in legal proceedings against the state for defamation, among other legal declarations and orders. And it goes on to say some other things here. But I'm glad that they sue. I'm glad that, well, they're sue yet. They're sue yet. But let me tell you this. On receipt of that letter from Todd, the squatter can call Nosef and them telling that Todd write the letter and so on. And Nosef and all them shoot and scoot, or they're going to tell you ignore the letter. That is how they operate. They'll tell you ignore the letter. The 24 hours have passed, and therefore I expect by now the legal proceedings threatened would have been instituted. You got to sue them. Even though you don't get enough money in court, you got to sue them. I am going to say much about suing them because I have lawsuit against the same set of people them in court right now, engaging the attention of the High Court. God, they did something similar to me. And I ain't sitting down and allow them that. So, see, again, I want you to talk about this thing. You got to emphasize this unprofessional behavior of the police in inviting the father of this girl to go to the station. Not once have they said that they will, all right, we're going to go to where the man live, we're going to pick you up or something like that. And then the police misrepresenting what that said and the letter and the suit. Let me hear your take on it, my brother.
Very unprofessional, and I use an allegation, very unprofessional. That you as an investigator, you gotta be prepared. I remember, and I always remember my Coney police station. I got a soft spot. That's where I got a lot of foundation in general policing and other policing. 7464 Smith, he must be there upon this thing here. Send me to wash clothes my Coney, the Coney River, to take a statement from a man. The man was operating a combine, cutting rice. I had to go there. I went in the cemetery along in Bomber Road. If we're in rice field to take statement from people, people don't got come to station. You go to them where they're comfortable. And police got to be prepared when they're investigating. Let me tell you two little issues. I remember like one, the other detective, I wouldn't call his name, that he was investigating a matter. And the victim said, "Oh, officer, if me they go one bottle, me to give a little milk for carry away." And they have the detective hold on auntie, and he zip up his briefcase and take out a rum bottle, and he collect his milk. He was so prepared. And then even with David Ramnarayan, who acted as commissioner of police before he took voluntary retirement. I recruited David Ramnarayan, or started the process in a rum shop at Rosal. I can remember a Saturday afternoon I was there, and he turned up, and we started to talk. And then he told me that he was a school teacher, but he didn't like the teaching work, and he wanted something else. And I tell you, yeah, if the qualification that you say you got, you can join the police force. You could do a recruit training. You can go on a cadet officer course, and you could climb up rapidly up the line to become a senior officer in the Guyana police force. And so said, so done. Because I was prepared. Remember, I interviewed in a rum shop, and then he went. I think it was the Monday to the College of Adventure, and we started this process in terms of taking fingerprints and so forth. And I don't know how they call Todd mediocre. Todd has a doctorate. He get a master's. He get a first degree. And he didn't get it from the University of Iflock or Lenoro, or the University of Palmyra, East Country. He got them from reputable universities. And he didn't get no gold scholarship. And he didn't get no honorary degree. And he paid his money and got his degree. So I don't know to call him mediocre. He's well established, and unlike other people, he could represent himself. So I'm happy that if they try to think him that he will take them to court. Let him go to court. Let them go to court and fight the issue. Yeah? Because start talking, and because he's talking things that they don't like or they don't understand, but he's talking the facts. He's not lying. He's talking the facts. And they're hustling to discredit him. I will urge that don't let up. Don't let up. Don't let up. Go for it. Go to the juggler. Todd, go for it.
Well, see the thing about it with these matters too, when you gonna go for the juggler, yes, and you gonna get damages from the you can be awarded damages on the court, and who you pay, who you think paying? It's we taxpayer. That you gonna sue the state, because you can't sue Weekend in his personal capacity, and that you can't sue. You gotta sue the Attorney General on behalf of the state. And when you get your little money and when they call for cost and all that, it's the state got to pay, so it's we paying. So they don't care. They don't have a care in the world because it's we have to pay. And here what the statement goes on, third release in the thing that I read. He said, in response, the Ghana police force accused Dr. Todd of misleading the public. The police said, quote, the Ghana police force wishes to respond to the misleading statement published by attorney at law Dexter Todd in a press release alleging that the father of Adriana Young was not contacted by the police to give a statement. The Ghana police force categorically asserts that this statement is wholly and deliberately untrue, as police records reveal that several requests and attempts were made to accommodate the grieving father to give a statement. That is what the police say. Several requests and attempts were made to accommodate the grieving father. Did those attempts include sending a vehicle to pick him up, to bring him to where, or to take him to wherever you wanted a statement, or to go to his residence to sit down and take a statement? No. It didn't include that. And then you're attacking Tad. And Tad never said, I can't come back and think again. Caution, the Canadian man who they bring to assist with this investigation, he is the man who said that he was surprised that at that time, up to that time, last week Thursday when they met, no statement was taken from the father. He said so, and that is what was reported. And the blaming Tad said so. But you see, the problem is, as we have been saying all along, is being able to read and comprehend. Is being able to read and to comprehend the Scotty and get the ability. And apparently, you get no advisors. Because I hear one, let me digress a little bit to tell you that I learned that one of the senior men, right, just got to work like 10 o'clock in the morning, and by 1 o'clock he gone home. And the squatter can't talk to you. He goes to work like 10, 11 o'clock. That's what they tell me. In the morning, and by 1 o'clock, the man gone. You can't find him. Because the man don't want nothing to do with the squatter. Right? He believes the squatter dance, and therefore he should not be interacting with the squatter. That's not a singular feeling. A lot of other people feel the same way. Then they go on to say, further in this thing, this is what Todd is saying now. The press release by the Ghana Police Force Corporate Communication Unit is plagued with untruths, defamatory statements, and blatant misrepresentation of Dr. Todd's press release. We know that. We know that it's plagued with untruths, defamatory statements, and blatant misrepresentation of the thing. I mean, I don't want to belabor the point. I don't want to belabor the point. There's a new phrase we get all the time. For me, I got to my little school, and I think that they tell me is belabor. Belabor. Well, suddenly we learn now is belabor. You don't want to belabor this point, right? Like just we don't want to deal with reparative and all them things. That is what's going on. And them are the people who could come to tell people that they're unprofessional and all this stuff. Them da. Talking like countryman. I can't say those people. Them da. Right? Again, my Jamaican friend them and they was killing themselves with laugh. You think it's only Jamaica can talk little part one. So now we could talk them too. Right? You can take it too. Right? So those of you who don't know the Guyanese thing and so on, I know you can catch on because some of these things are common among the Caribbean people and elsewhere. Right? So we said them da. Yeah? Jamaica tell you uno na. Uno. Language by Caribbean sweet bad. Right? And they would go on to say, this is Dr. Todd's office in the release. Dr. Todd chooses his words carefully and disseminates, quote, only facts of what was discussed at the meeting with Mr. McCushion. They argued. Quote, the Ghana Police Force Corporate Communication Unit saw it fit to take those facts and try to slander the reputation of Dr. Todd. And then Todd goes out, they go on to say, Dr. Todd forms clarify. While the above paragraph only expresses the shock of Mr. McCushion and mentions nothing said by Dr. Todd, the first sentence of the press release from the Ghana Police Force Corporate Communication Unit sought to attack Dr. Todd. Imagine them dunces, them attacking Dexter Todd. Them dunces attacking Dr. Dexter Todd. And it shows the unprofessionalism of this thing. And before I bring in, I think I'm going to bring in Mr. Conway, and then we can go. I understand that the Attorney General, Anil Nandlal, or Nandlal, SC, MP, made a statement about the body. And let me get Conway first, and then we're going to deal with them. We get about half an hour more. Let me get CC for dealing with what we have dealt with so far, and then we're going to CC, go ahead. Your turn.
All right. Congratulations, you sound very presidential when you belabeled the points, And I agree with you. I agree with you that, we need to repeat them. We need to repeat them for sake of emphasis over and over again. So congratulations that you belabeled a lot of points.
Well, let me jump in and say when you talk about being presidential too. I'll be labeling the point, and they give me 5 criminal charges, so perhaps another 14 in the pipeline for me to come to 19, and then that might qualify me to run for the president, right? So yeah, that's what going on. Now let me jump into this one here, CC. And I get the statement some way. I get it. It says it is say Ewa Anil Nandlal is reported to have said. I gotta choose the thing carefully. Is reported to have said. I didn't get to listen to it. Right? I'll listen to it when I'm done. But I could talk because I get it in Kagaji. He reported to have said in the headline, Guyana's Attorney General, and it said the body of Adriana Young has lost forensic value and cited expert advice. Here what it says. Guyana's Attorney General Anil Nandlal announced that the remains of Adriana Young has lost their forensic value, according to expert forensic advice received by authorities. The statement comes amid growing interest, a growing public interest, and scrutiny surrounding the investigation of Young's death. Well, I can stop right there. Let me come again and deal with more. Let me analyze that part. I told you all in a previous broadcast that the government is trying now to muddy the waters. It started with the Minister of Health, Frank Anthony, when he said that the body was handed over to the relatives and implying that anything could have happened to the body. That is in respect to the second autopsy that is being requested. He said, right? Well, the police handed over the body after the autopsy, and he was implying, in my view, in my analysis, that because the body was handed over to the relatives, the body could have been tampered with, and evidence could have been introduced, or things could have been introduced to be put as evidence, so that the second autopsy maybe would have found things that were introduced since the body was handed over to I said so. And I said it is my view that what they're doing is to lay the groundwork. So if a second autopsy is done and the second autopsy find incriminating evidence that maybe was overlooked by the other people, because I remember they talking about these three forensic pathologists and these three experts. In other words, they are trying to tell us, because these three forensic pathologists did the autopsy, right? It was so thorough that you can't find nothing other than what they find, which is BS, right? You know why I say that? Because they say, the president said so on the night of the 28th of April. Let us remember days ago. They all will recognize that by now. When he had what they call the press conference after the postmortem. And he is the one. Let me y'all bear with me, man. I like read what they say, you know. I don't like to paraphrase, lest I say things and misquote them, and then I go sue me for defamation. Here what he is reported to have said. I have asked the Commissioner of Police to assemble a special team to lead the investigation into all the circumstances surrounding 11-year-old Adriana Young. We must uncover the full truth and everything that transpired, and no resource or effort will be spared in doing so. Whatever specialized resources are required to determine every aspect of the event and circumstances will be provided. Additionally, I have asked the police to explain in detail every action taken since the matter was reported. Like the rest of the country, I stand with this family at this time of extreme grief. That is one of the things. But then he also said, you remember, no force drowning, no sexual assault, and all of that. So, in other words, and they go on to say in some part of the thing that the doctors found the hymen of this child intact. And I telling them, God is stupid, that hymen intact and mean that there was no sexual assault. Let me repeat that. The fact that if they said that, because he said a lot of things that the people did not say, but if they did say that the hymen of this child was intact, doesn't mean that there was no sexual assault. You want to know why I'm saying so? Because the hymen intact generally means that there was no vaginal sex, no sex. In other words, there was no penetration in her vagina, right? But what happened to her anus? Did they check for that? What happened about oral sex? Could they check for that? So you see that comment, they tell you all sorts of nonsense. But we have got to be sensible enough to read through that. So when Nandalal come and Nandalal tell people some time ago, I don't know if it's last night or when, that what is reported to have said here, that there's no value, right? The body has lost forensic value. Let me tell you this in case you know, right? Let me tell you this in case the Attorney General know. Bodies have been discovered long after. Bodies have been examined years after. Sometimes decades. They exhume bodies and all them type of thing. In other words, they bury the person, the people exhume the remains and have been able to find forensic evidence to convict people. So I don't know who, and you know, you've got to be careful when you see that say, you know, hear what he says. Hear what he says. According to expert forensic advice received by authorities. So he telling some, who are the experts advise you? Who are the experts who advise you that this body of Adriana Young has lost forensic value? Who? And it is my belief, nobody can tell you so. He got on the thing and he talk and then he try to cover himself. You know, he get a little training, you know. He get a little training. He get a little legal training. So he can come and he can try to dance and then he can say, well, that is what I was told. I am no expert, but that is what they told me. Well, whoever tell you a lot of crap, right? Tell you a lot of crap, because a body can retain forensic evidence and value long after, even after it's buried. Even after it is buried, even after it has been decomposed, it gets forensic value. So I don't understand. This man sits there as the Attorney General and he can come to tell people that crap. And you know some of you swallows gonna believe it. You know some of them gonna believe. And you know, people talk about forensic files and all of those shows. I even go to their common sense. Common sense years, decades after, in many cases, bodies or whatever was remained of the remains of the body are examined and forensic evidence is found. I remember when I been to the FBI Academy in 1998, one of the case studies we did then, there was this child who went to a fair, right? And she disappeared from the fair. They didn't find her. She just disappeared from the fair. And a long time passed, long, months passed. And apparently it was around sometime or shortly after snow fell. And then when the snow thawed off, they found the body. They examined the body and so on. The other man who was a suspect, the man named Larry something, can't remember his name now, right? He was a suspect. And they couldn't find, they did the examination. At that time, they did not have mitochondrial DNA. There is some part of all them training we did. By the time the body was recovered, they were able to do this additional DNA examination and link Larry to the disappearance of this girl. She was sexually assaulted by him years after, not years, sorry, months after. Months after this girl was found. That was one of the case studies we did, and he was charged and convicted for the murder of this child. So for Nandalal to tell us that somebody tell you that the body has lost forensic value is bull crap. Well, if it lost forensic value, why are you objecting? I understand how they're trying to prevent the Dr. Daisley from Trinidad. They're not giving him permission to come and do the second autopsy. So I think the family now, they're trying to make arrangement to get the remains of that child flown overseas to be examined. They're going to put all other obstacles in the way of that too, because they do not want to get to the truth. Because deep down, many of them know exactly what transpired. They know what transpired, and they don't want to get to the truth, because the truth might incriminate all of them, either directly in the murder or the cover-up to the murder. And as I've said before, when we talk about cover-up, we're talking about accessory after the fact, which is a crime. I told you all, a person can be connected on a crime in 4 ways. Principal in the first degree, principal in the second degree, accessory before the fact, accessory after the fact. And when you talk about accessory after the fact, if the person, it is basically if you know of the crime and you attempt to cover up the crime, then you're an accessory after the fact of the crime. So I'm telling you, when they talk about dereliction and all this everything in relation to the police action at Doubleday on the 23rd and the 24th. It might be even worse than that. It might not be only dereliction. Some of them might be accessory after the fact of murder, if they weren't directly involved in the murder. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. The bottle a little sweet. So let me bring in CC. CC, your views, my brother.
Yeah, Paul. You know, the Attorney General get the proclivity of coming to hasty generalization. We expect as a trained lawyer that he's got to be specific. And here's it, he's saying that what people told him is it has no forensic value. I study forensic science. I got certificate for that. But I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I know certain basic things. And I know that years after, you can find there are many cases that you could find forensic evidence in bodies that were buried. It's there. So what is it they want to hide? And you know, let me jump off a bit because you might come to it, but as I'm speaking now, they said the man who they bring in the sweary, did they swear him as a constable? And I wonder if the confirmed squatter promoted him to a sergeant, which was his rank in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or if they not fully constituted police service commission, who according to the Chief Justice cannot perform any functions of the service commission, promoted him to some rank. Now, here what I read that the Attorney General said when he's talking about the same man that they brought in. The regional component of the Royal Police Force here in the Caribbean, I think, recommended the gentleman. The government doesn't know the person. He was recommended from the Caribbean itself. I think that he may have done work in the region before. Here's the saying that this man was recommended by the Royal Police Force. May I know what the Royal Police Force is, the regional Royal Police, you know we're talking about here in the Caribbean. And he's saying that the government doesn't know the person. I think he worked in the Caribbean before. You know, these kind of statements, these wild statements, you know, the Attorney General has got to be specific. And common sense will tell you that. But then people say common sense was there before book sense. And they say common sense is not commonplace. Neither it is common in everybody, including some attorney generals. So I'm not surprised with them statements coming from the Attorney General, because many times he jumped to some hasty generalization in terms of being specific in account with the law and with the facts in issue.
Yeah, them generalization, you know, we got to analyze them type of thing. It's dance, he's trying to give himself a wiggle room. Oh, they recommended by somebody, the man recommend. You recommend a man is recommended, and you want to tell the government who's going to employ him and pay enough money. I know it's enough money. They're going to check to see the credentials of this man, and if this man is suited for this job that you're employing him for. But I suspect nobody, no agency and recognize. Then he said, I heard that part too, you know, CC. Then he said, well, the man did work in the Caribbean. Generalization again, where did he do this work? Oh, he said he might have. He might have done work in the, where? And with whom? What case? So Nandalan come there, and that was not the, this release. That was before when he been on the thing named Caribbean Tea, the program Caribbean Tea is there for you people to watch. And he's squirming because some of the questions that were asked of him, you could see he vacillating, and he thinking like how the man is thinking about Sue. That is the type of thing. Brain gone into a little momentarily freeze, right? When the question catching. That is what you have. And the man made also the statement because the thing that we're going to go into it, we're not going to done. Because the man himself, McCushion, himself admitted to Todd that some of the things that Todd asked him about his qualifications and all of that, he didn't get the necessary qualification. Then they asked you how many similar homicide by drunk did he investigate? Can't answer. Guy suspect he never did any. They asked him about other qualification. No, he ain't got that qualification. And I'm saying here now, let me find, I made some note on this thing. Right? I said by now, right? This retired detective, he been here for over a week. Because according to Blanham, this man came in, I think was last Monday night. I think at the opening of the conference of the Association of Commissioners of Police, when they brackle, yes, Boston are using that word again. Not tackle. We countrymen don't know nothing but tackle. When they brackle here at the sidelines of the conference, he said, well, the man was during the night. That is Monday night. Here now over 1 week. He had this conference with the family, or a meeting, I should say, with the family and Dr. Todd. I think it would have been last Thursday. Right? He should by now be in a position to tell us, the public, something. We who pay any. Well, I have so far received 100 statements from the police. I have gone through 50. I have gone through none. I've gone through all. I have remember he said, he said that he received all the relevant documents, and I took umbrage to that statement on the last program on Monday. I said is a bias by disposition. Right away, you come and you get some statement. Oh, you don't review these statements yet. According to what he said, he has not reviewed them yet, but he knows that those were all the relevant statements. I said that alone fairly. That alone, I would fail it. They say it was a very difficult, hard marker in a marking. But I'm saying that if I'm interviewing that retired sergeant, and he makes such a statement like this, to say that he has been given all the relevant documents, and then come back to tell me, right, that he has not read these things as yet, I did say, catch the next plane. I did put it back on the next plane. Because I hope they got some clause in the contract to say that if you can't perform, go back. And we ain't giving you maybe you get the advance money that we give you. And the couple of days you would have spent at the hotel. Because, you can get, based on the thing they said the meeting was at Marriott. So I believe that the government put you in up at the Marriott. And when you put you up at the Marriott, it's all expense paid. I know. I work where I travel at all expense paid. The only thing I don't pay for is alcohol. The only thing that I pay for is alcohol. So if you're a drinker, you got to buy your own drinks. But lunch, breakfast, dinner, snack, all expense paid. So the man is being put up, I'm sure, all expense paid, given some contract with fancy money. And the question is asked also, since he retired, what work was he doing? Sometimes the man, they're bad glad to get a little hustle someplace. And I can't see these stupid people from Guyana. That's me saying, so you didn't say that. This give me in a contract, I taking it right away. And a man telling me who knows, say there are several cases right here in Guyana where forensic evidence taken from the body after months led to the identification of suspect and prosecution, I guess. There's somebody who knows saying it. And Nandalal telling me a body that is not even a month yet, right? The body has lost forensic value. He says somebody told him that. So I have questions to this investigator too. What happened? Have you not, well, maybe contracts say he can't interface with the media. Because in the jurisdiction that he worked, if indeed he was a proper investigator, he knows that they were about to give regular update, perhaps even every 24 hours, you got to face the media and give them an update. We took so many statements, this is what we are investigating, without compromising the investigation. What is wrong with this man facing the media and say, well, so far we have read 20 statements. I have reviewed 4 videos. I have reviewed so many photographs. What is wrong with him saying that? He ain't go into the details, and the investigation is continuing. You can even come, as they would normally do sometime, come, make a statement and say you're taking questions, but at least the people see who you are. But we ain't get that yet. We haven't got that, right? We haven't had that. And I asked you the question, I know before I bring in Mr. Conway, over the past couple of days, what to me is a new picture has emerged of a man they call, I think they're calling me boxer. Somebody called boxer posing with assault rifle and all this everything. And the information that is being put out there is that this boxer, this character they call boxer, lived at the Doubleday. He never walked, he lived there in one of the rooms. And they're further suggesting that the room that he lived might have been the room where the fire started. Have they seen that? Have they identified who this character is? Have they questioned him? Is he a suspect? Is he a suspect, or is he somebody of interest in this investigation? I mean, look, as I say, all they're doing is blotching this thing, deliberately so. And that is why they don't want any reputable organization to come to investigate. Because any reputable organization with the necessary organizational support would have delved into all of these things. I maintain that even the building there, that they have never protected, it has never been treated as a crime scene. Even now, with the right people, they can go, and you might surprise you to know that can find incriminating evidence there. But they don't want to let that. They bring them out with no institutional support. What was this man doing prior to getting this sweetheart contract? I suspect, I don't know whatever money he get. I know the terms of the contract. But I show is a sweetheart contract. First class, a flight from wherever he been to here. Hotel, whatever star, the highest star hotel, all expenses paid. I guess you get car to move you around whenever you got to move around. They ain't got car to send to bring Adrian family to the station to take a statement from him. But I sure they get car moving the man around. I understand when they get him cocktail and think the man is invited to the cocktails and so on. The man is compromised. That is my view. Compromise. Because if you are a professional investigator, you come in these circumstances, right? They invite you out, you're going to turn down the investigation. Because it's going to look bad. It's about the optics. You can't be seen socializing with the same people. The question was asked to, who are the investigators? Up to now, they have not said who are the people investigating. The only body we know investigating is this man from Canada. Who are the people in Guyana? And my people have said to me, the Divisional Detective Officer of Region 3 is one of the investigators. How can that be? He was one of the people there early in the day and that shut up the whole thing. How can he now be part of this investigation? Because I made the point that apart from the murder investigation, they have to be investigating the action taken by those officers, not for them neglectful, not for them dereliction of duty, not only the commander, not only the commander who was sent on administrative leave, the man relaxing there and enjoying money. Not only, but proper investigation. I don't believe that would fall within the remit of this man who they bring to assist with the murder investigation. But there should have been a parallel investigation, a parallel mandal and all them. What action did they take? And a showing an amount to neglect the duty. Neglect the duty, which requires something differently, because if you're going to deal with them neglect, then you might have to follow the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 1701, and make sure you compile, you compose or you compile people who are qualified to do the investigation, not like what they did to Brutus. Not like what they did. Again, I am saying, they want this thing to go away. It will not go away like that. It will not go, because we're going to keep it here on this program and other programs as well. People have been talking about it. Other program. Almost a month, can't go no place. They want the body to be buried, and as some students suggested there, even better for them if there's a cremation. Better for them if there's a cremation. Because whatever evidence, even though Nandala tell you forensic value, they cremate, then the forensic value of the body disappear. That is what they are hoping for. Let me bring in Mr. Conway to give his closing, and then we're going to tell you the way forward. CC, we had a long morning, and I see the gods were nice to you. So let me get
Yeah.
your closing remarks, and then we're gonna wrap up.
Well, as I say, they could interrupt, they could delay, but they can't stop the program thing. We're doing God's work, and you can't stop God's work. I understand the sergeant who said what they bring here, or maybe he's now a constable. I understand he learned to do the butterfly, He learned to do the butterfly. But Paul, for us, we need to talk later on before in relation to this border issue. I read in one of the papers saying U.S. ambassador said the U.S. ready to support GDF to eradicate criminal activity along the borders. And I wonder if we have criminal activities, what is the role of the Ghana police force? Just as how they had the cocaine at Matthews Ridge, no role of the Ghana police force. And then you hear the president giving them shotguns for defend our border. You know, this whole thing is ridiculous. And then, yeah, let me say it. I got some information last evening. They have over they said over 40,000 registered Venezuelans in Guyana, registered Venezuelans. So we got much more who unregistered. And I hear about 12 of them went into a shop at West Demerara last evening, and asked the shopkeeper if the shopkeeper is aware where they got to go and vote on Monday, where they have to go on Monday. We ain't taking this thing seriously, and we taking them how much thousand Venezuelans we get in this country. We taking them lightly. Trojan horses. Enough of them could be Trojan horses. Asking where they got to go for vote on Monday. Let me stop there.
Any other thing? The Super Bowl belongs to Ghana. Any other thing? The Super Bowl belongs to Ghana. Escape belongs to Ghana. Escape belongs to Ghana. Not the blade of grass. Not one blue saki. Not one rice grain. Escape belongs to Ghana. Escape belongs to Ghana. Any other thing? The Super Bowl.
On mute them like SQL belongs to Ghana, we know that. So we're gonna wave that thing there, and all them we're gonna shoot up, we're gonna scoot, and everybody gonna run. Everybody gonna shit buckets and all that, everything gonna run. That is what you have. That is what you have. And here this one here to look.
You could probably on the maritime area give Venezuela a channel out to the sea. So you make a slight concession in the maritime area. You could.
That's the man who said Ghana get a lot of stupid people, and he's right, because he looked like to have made such a statement. I believe it's treasonous, I believe, it is my personal view, that statement by that person who spoke there is treasonous. To say that you could give, what you said you could give Ghana.
You could probably on the maritime area give Venezuela a channel out to the sea. So you make a slight concession in the maritime area. You could.
Yeah. That's what we have. That is what we have. And one wonders why we are in the nonsense we're in. Right? One wonders why we are in what we're in. And look. Again, I got to always show you all this one here too. I ain't gonna let up on this. Where it is. You think so nasty, even my computer refused to show it. Hold on, I'm gonna find it for y'all just now. Even my computer refusing to find this picture. I don't know where it is now. Right? Other picture you wanted to show you all. I've showed it several times before. I'm gonna do it over so you can see what I'm talking about. Like apparently it gone off. And you gotta get your therapy. You haven't had your therapy for some time. I can give you all therapy. Let me find it. Let me find the therapy, and you're gonna get it. Well, bear with us, bear with us. I even play the corruption thing for some time too. I ain't forget them, you know, folks. I ain't forget them. Hold on, one moment. One moment, please. Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. I can't seem to find this thing now. I can't seem to find it. Yeah, bear with me a little, man. Bear with me. I know he's gonna watch you well.
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
So my relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, yes, he is a friend of ours.
He claims.
Yes, relationship. First I hear the word relationship. Relationship. Who? So. Tomorrow, you're going to get the usual afternoon cuss out. Right? And I'm disappointed, but not surprised that some of the people who call themselves journalists who are going to go there, they don't ask these questions. They're going to get these saying, ask other things. You sit down, never talk for 2-3 hours and sit down, listen and make note. Right? They're not asking questions. I wish if I were a journalist, first of all, they wouldn't allow me to go there. But I would have asked some very searching questions about this man who is alleged. Did people allege, this Vice News interview, that he takes $500,000 from the Chinese to give them contract. That is what the allegation is. Never investigated. Never investigate. They want to investigate and charge Asruddin Mohammed for under invoicing. They investigate and charge Slow and Conway and others a conspiracy to commit fraud involving 10,000 or 10 million Guyana dollars. And that's the other thing they're charging people. But such a serious allegation made against Jack Deal, no investigation. And I say this, let me remind you of this. People around the world, reputable organizations, governments and so on, would have reviewed that and come to certain conclusions. So you can jump around and talk how much you want to talk. People will know if he was telling the truth or not. They have the behavioral science people can tell you that. And to address Nandalal, that what he said, lose value. That will not lose its value. That statement there, or that interview will not lose its value. Folks, let me end it now. Y'all had a long morning. This Wednesday, this midweek morning. As you can see there, those of you who are, first of all, I got to thank you for your attendance. We had wonderful attendance today, right? And those of you who are in a position to make a donation, please do so. You have the Zelle number, the Cash App number. You have the Cash App, Zelle, and the MMG for those of you who are in Guyana. I know I have met quite a few persons or people have said, look, I want to make a contribution, but I know this Zelle thing and this Cash App thing and this MMG and so on. So people will meet us and they will give us something which we appreciate very much. Today is Wednesday. Looking forward, Monday is public holiday in the U.S. and in Guyana. Guyana in respect of Independence Day, 26th of May, 1966 is when we gained independence from Great Britain. And then in the U.S., I think it's Memorial Day. So we get double holiday in Guyana and in the U.S. We're going to come on Friday again in the afternoon. We're going to come this Friday, the day after tomorrow, in the afternoon. That's the day before Venezuela plans to hold this election in Essequibo. We're going to come Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock. So we're going to be looking forward to seeing you then. When we come Friday, we're going to be able to tell you whether we're going to be able to come or which will be the next day for us to come on the program. So, folks, I ask of you to stay well, As I said yesterday alone in Guyana, 4 fatalities. We ain't hearing nothing further about the dengue outbreak where children have died, other people have died. You not hear about them things. You not hear. The Adriana Young matter, we're going to continue to highlight it because they want the thing to go away. They want it to disappear. Because as I've said, it is a murder. I don't care what them say. Because let me understand. It is clear from all the evidence that she did not drown in the pool. We're going to talk about it more on Friday. She did not drown in the pool. If she did not drown in the pool, even though the doctor says she died from drowning, there's murder that killed she somewhere and then throw she in the pool. That is my view. That is my view. And for those who will say slow bias and things, that is my view based on the evidence that they have. And any sensible person who review all the evidence, pictorial and other video and all them things, they can't come to no other conclusion. Cannot come to any other conclusion. Folks, I invite you again to stay well. Stay well. Raining, I think May, June rain, stepping in Guyana. Roads are slippery. You see so many accidents. People driving recklessly because of this lawless culture, which we're going to talk about at some later stage. But I urge you again to stay well and God spare life. We will see you Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock. And then you're going to get more information on this Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Until then, stay well. Bye.